Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Welcome back. This is Austin Linney with Construct Your Life podcast. I'm so grateful to be here with my special guest today, Omar Pinto. We have him in the house. How are you doing, sir?
Doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me, my brother Austin.
Doing great. Welcome back, listeners. Our mission on this show is to discover how to build a lifestyle not based on a bank account. And the episode we have today is going to be one of some high quality. There might be some deep talk in here, and I'm not going to lie to you. This is probably part one of many series. This man right here holds a special place in my heart. He is my coach. We knew we were brothers from another mother the moment that we talked to each other. So this is going to be a great podcast. So Omar, you live in Costa Rica. You're a coach. You're a recovery specialist. Why don't you kind of tell the listeners a little bit about your history and what you're doing these days?
Well, first of all, Austin, thank you for that awesome intro. I am super grateful to be here. And yes, we are brothers from another mother. And I can see multiple interviews happening because really, you really need to surround yourself, or I believe that your network is your net worth. The people that you surround yourself with, the energy that you allow into your life is going to dictate, it's going to determine your future. Okay? If you have negativity coming into your life, you're headed towards negativity. If you have positivity in your life, you're headed towards positivity. And with that positivity comes the opportunity for abundance. And right now, asking me about a little bit of what I do. 5 years ago, I launched a podcast called the SHAIR Podcast. It's a recovery-based podcast where I interview people about where they're at and actually, more importantly, how they overcame addiction in whatever form it took in their lives. And, their story, their journey into recovery, their journey of overcoming, their achievements, what they're doing in their lives today. And so what that has evolved into is a coaching practice, into a thriving community, a membership community that I have. And it's allowed me to meet people like you all over the world, where I can have these incredible conversations. And I can honestly say that for something as small back then of me launching a podcast, like I would have never even this is your first diving. You're diving into the podcast world for the first time. You have no idea what's coming your way, and it's all good. Mm-hmm. It is all good. The podcasting world, what it's done is it's opened up my life and my world to so many different amazing opportunities and people. I would have never, ever, ever, if you would have told me what my life was going to look like just by launching the podcast, I never would have believed you. Mm-hmm. Never would have believed you. So really what I have to do is I have to give credit to a couple of things. Number one, I have to give credit to recovery. So for me, almost 17 years ago, I got clean and sober from drugs and alcohol, and I joined a 12-step community, and that radically transformed my life, right? And then 5 years ago, I launched the podcast. About 12 years into my sobriety, I launched this podcast. And then 3 years ago, I started deep diving into personal development. I started getting coached. I started joining mastermind communities, and personal development. I really started deep diving into podcasts and listening to podcasts and listening to people that were ahead of me that I wanted to model, that I wanted to emulate. And that has completely transformed my life. So there's so many things to be grateful for, but really it's recovery and this podcast and personal development that has allowed me to be here with you today and engage on what I call a very high level.
Amen. And people think that, I want to add value 100%, but people think that if one person gets value out of this podcast, I've win as far as I'm concerned. But truthfully, I'm doing this selfishly because I love great conversations and just the one I recorded this morning, learned something about myself when I did your podcast, learned something about myself mid-podcast. I think to really get context of who you are and, 18 years sober, it's amazing. You're a coach, you're helping all these people, but that's not where you started. And, so you moved, you don't have to give them the full story, but, you moved to Costa Rica to do a gambling.
Oh yeah.
And okay. you were staying up a little late from time to time.
You want that story?
If you got to give them the goods. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's start from the beginning. So really, my journey begins as this kid who is geeky and awkward and introverted and, scared of his own shadow, picked on, bullied, right? And I adopted this sort of victim mentality, from an early age, right? I always assumed that there was something wrong with me. I've been wearing glasses since I was 5 years old. My first day, I showed up in kindergarten and I'm staring at the chalkboard and I'm squinting my eyes and I can't see. And the teacher's like, "Omar, what's wrong with you? Why are you squinting like that?" I go, "I can't see the chalkboard, so I'm just squinting my eyes closed." Boom, she sends me to the nurse's office. The nurse is like, calls my parents in. And I remember this, I remember it's real kind of foggy, but there's this very defining moment in my life where I'm kind of sitting there and I'm watching my parents have this conversation with the nurse, and the nurse is like, Omar's going to have to wear glasses. Right. So, and my dad's like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You need to go get his eyes checked because he can't sit still in the classroom." So my parents take me to go to the eye doctor, finds out I have one of the highest degrees of stigmatism that there is, right? I got to wear these Coke bottle glasses.
Awesome.
And I remember, what was that?
Awesome. I said awesome. Great for a 5-year-old. Yeah.
So, of everybody, it broke my dad the worst. I remember I was at home and I'm staring at my parents. They're sitting at the kitchen table and my dad's got his face in his hands, right? So he's crying. Mm-hmm. And my mom's there trying to console him, trying to make him feel better, right? And what I processed in that moment, because my dad was like, "What did I do wrong? I must have done something wrong. This is my fault." Somehow he blamed himself for this. And so the way I processed it, not so much that he failed me, it was more like I failed him. Okay. Like I was a disappointment to my dad. And I remember my mom kind of like taking a look at me and she was kind of like nodding her head, and she was smiling at me and she's like, "It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay." And so there was this kind of like, I failed my father, but here's my mom. She's showing me this love and kind of like pity and that kind of thing. And so that's kind of how I showed up in the world as this poor little kid. And when you show up at school as this poor little kid, you get picked on. You're the first one to get picked on. So this went on. That was basically my life until I discovered alcohol.
And so I'm just trying to understand. This is just over glasses, right?
This is just over glasses.
Okay. Wow. I felt like there was you had like a loose limb or something. Like there was a default.
I'm glad you brought that up because in that moment, it was so important for everyone involved at that moment. Omar's got to wear glasses, right?
I wear sunglasses every day.
Right? Omar's got to wear glasses. And for me, there was something wrong with me. Yeah. And I'm glad you point that out because trauma takes so many at 5 years old.
That's what people don't understand.
5.
That little moment. That moment in time. How long do you think that affected you?
Affected me basically my whole life because I've been working through that to get here, not knowing that there was this need to forgive myself, right? And also understand You didn't fail anybody. You didn't do anything wrong. Dude, you had to wear some glasses. Big fucking deal. Like, seriously, get over yourself.
You ever watch Seinfeld?
Oh, yeah.
It's like having to wear that puffy shirt. That's all it was. I'm trying to make light of it now, but I understand how that one moment, a moment in time, right? That couple hours.
It's this simple little moment in time that basically it creates a story for me, and I take ownership of that story. And all of a sudden, there's something wrong with me. I'm broken. I'm defective. And it starts to create this identity. And I show up as this person. I show up everywhere I go. It's poor little Omar, right? And so this goes on for years, right? And actually, when I turned 16 years old, I get invited to my first house party, and I have my first beer. And all of that fear and all of that uncertainty and all of that feeling of being less than or broken or defective or a failure, it was gone. Like in an instant, it was gone. And the true Omar, the most truest, most authentic version of me showed up after about a beer or two. And I mean, I'm running around talking to people and laughing and having a good time. And I don't have a care in the world. I'm thinking, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. I go, oh my God, this is it. I have found the solution. And it helps soothe all of this chaos. I mean, chaos, like over fucking dramatization of what it really was. You know what I mean? I had to wear glasses, big fucking deal. But I tell you what, man, back in the day, back in my time, kids in school with glasses were 4 eyes.
100%.
I don't know how it is now, because you got, super, like, you got lenses right now that are super compressed and cool frames. Like, I can't even imagine not wearing glasses now. It's like part of my brand.
Sure.
I got the beard and the bald head and the glasses, and without my glasses, like, I'm not the same person.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's funny how that evolves. And even today, kids that wear glasses, no one's running around calling 4 eyes. But man, when I was going to school, the kids were wearing glasses. There was no cool glasses for any of us.
Yeah.
Any of us that wore glasses, there was a limited selection, and none of it was good.
So the problem being, after that first beer, because I don't even need to ask you, because I know the answer, because it was with me and drugs and back in my early days in beer. So then you have the first drink, you're good, you're loosey-goosey, you're talking to people, and then I would imagine you spent the next many years trying to chase that high every time.
I spent the rest. Yeah, I spent up until I got sober, I was chasing a high.
That first time is the best, and then it's never that good again.
Well,
there were some good days.
Right, because here's the thing. Alcohol is very different than hard drugs.
Yep.
Okay? Alcohol doesn't have that. It's got a ramp-up period, right? You got to drink a few drinks, right, before you turn into that guy. Okay? And so I was like, this is the solution. And so from that moment on, if I was going to go out with my buddies, we were going to be drinking. Right. And this went on for a while where it was good, right? Where it was like, it didn't matter what my grades were. It didn't matter how I did in school. It didn't matter if I was going to go to college or not, right? Because from high school, graduated 3.2, went to Cuesta College. It's a community college in my neighborhood. And then I, scraped, I don't know how I got into the university, right? I'm trying to figure my way through. But really, my purpose for being in school and community college and the university was to get to the cool parties, to meet more people, to network, right? To have fun. I enjoyed that. I was a waiter for many years. I was a busboy and a waiter and a box boy, but I was always in some sort of service industry. I love people. I love connecting and communicating with people. And as long as I was at work and in that environment, I was able to step into that first drink Omar. I call it first drink Omar. because when you have that first drink, really nothing bad happens. It's after like the sixth drink that shit just starts kind of unraveling. But one drink, Omar, is fun and he's gregarious and he's spontaneous. And so I would interview real well, get jobs real well. And that's what I did. I was in the service industry. I sold cars. I waited tables. I was a busboy. I was a restaurant manager. All these things were all very service, very people oriented. And alcohol was always a part of it, right? And it never seemed to be like a really, really big deal, right? Until probably about 25, when I really started to step into blackout drinking, and then I got my first DUI, and it was like, whoa, you know, I might have a problem with alcohol. You know, I might have a problem. And so there was this suspect that maybe there was a problem. And so this kind of back and forth between me getting into trouble, like blackout drinking, getting arrested, getting into fights, you know, starting shit, being that guy, taking off my clothes at parties, right? It was like gradually something was happening where it was like, you know, there was like more severe consequences, but nothing dramatic enough where I was like, oh, I think I have a problem. I need to stop. Until I moved to Costa Rica. So this is where you kind of alluded to, is where I landed here in Costa Rica. I was offered an opportunity to open up an online casino and sports book. And I land in Costa Rica, and it's like I might as well be on another planet, right? It smells different. It looks different. Everyone's different. Okay, it's even the United States citizens, the Americans that I met down here in Costa Rica, they were different. Okay, they were all, you know, in their 30s. Okay, so we were all kind of in our either late 20s, mid 30s kind of a thing, and everyone's acting like they're 12. Everyone acts like they're 12. All right, it's just asinine behavior. You know, the party culture I just basically got landed in this daily party culture that was out of control. I'd never done hardcore drugs. I'd smoked some weed when I was in the States. I drank when I was in the States. I was a weekend warrior. You know, I never missed work. I never had to call in because I had a hangover ever. And all of a sudden here I am, and I'm landing. It's like, whoa, this place is like nuts. And next thing you know, I'm drinking every day, and I'm smoking pot every day, and I'm meeting these people, and everyone's just drinking and using and getting high and working. I'm like, this is bizarre. Like, how do you get stuff done? Well, I found out there was a magic powder that allowed people to get things done.
Yeah.
24/7.
Yeah. And you feel like Superman.
Superman. So the first week I land in Costa Rica, I get introduced to cocaine. And I'm thinking I'm 29 years old. I'm too old to get addicted to things.
Oh yeah.
I'm too old, right? And all of a sudden I'm surrounded by these guys, and they're like, hey, you know, this plate of cocaine comes around, and they're passing by me, and I've got this moment where everyone's staring at me, and I'm like, if I don't do it, you know, I'm not going to be accepted. There was nothing more important to me ever in my life since I was born than to be accepted, to be approved, to get approval, to get validation, to be a part of, to be accepted, all that stuff. That was the quintessential, you know, fiber of my being.
Sure.
I needed to feel significant.
So to take a little side detour just for a second, because that's my problem too, until I've worked on it. What would you say? I would say the percentage of the people in society that need that validation is quite large. It's quite high.
It's massive.
I would say that it's probably the root of a large majority of people's issues, right?
I would agree 100%. Okay. I mean, who's to say what the numbers are? But most people can identify with this story.
And the only way to really see that is to look inside and take ownership of yourself, really. And that's hard. Because it's so much easier to just take that line of cocaine and not take the battering for 20 minutes like you're a pussy and you suck, and then they're going to fire you because you don't do drugs, and you're going to talk to the cops. Like, you know, I can only imagine all those things are going on in your head, right?
Man, I got to tell you, at the time, the only thing I was thinking to myself was I needed these guys to approve of me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thought in my head. Damn everything else.
Sure.
Right? That need for acceptance and approval. And here's the cool thing, right? You're right in the sense that there's a lot of people that feel this way. But at the time, I didn't know that. I was 29 years old, and I didn't know other people needed approval as desperately as I did.
Mm-hmm.
I was so trapped in my tiny little world of me and what's wrong with me and what I need that I never could have imagined that there was other people just like me who were desperate for approval, desperate for validation, and had no idea how to get it. Mm-hmm. And so you have all kinds of people that seek all kinds of different things, and they cope with things differently. But at the end of the day, one of our needs as a human being is the need for significance. Mm-hmm. It's the need to feel important, to have value. We all need it. We absolutely need to feel like we serve a purpose on this planet. Mm-hmm. There's nothing worse than thinking that you are worthless.
Sure.
That you have no value.
And not to get on a tangent, but it's just something I heard before we came on the podcast. You know, you look at Tom Brady moved after 20 years of being in New England, and they're finding out through friends that the only thing he wanted was to be told he did a good job. This is a 6-time Super Bowl multi-millionaire. Is all he wants from his coach is to say, good job, Tom. So, I mean, think about you in that moment, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing too. Like, let's just stay there for a minute because that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Okay? Because your adversity is your asset. Your struggle is your fire, is your fuel. Okay? I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't gone through all these struggles and adversities, right? Like, I went through a different channel, but just think about how important, how Tom Brady's life is today. Like, if today he's sitting there and he has this epiphany, like, God, I just needed approval. Like, I'm a 6-time Super Bowl champ because I needed approval. That's pretty fucking cool, man. Yeah. Like, seriously, like, of all the things that could have happened, I could have ended up a drug addict. Yeah. I could have ended up, in some kind of mental ward. I could have ended up, I don't know what.
This is great.
But instead, I took a gift and a talent that I had, and I worked that thing to death.
So what you're getting at is the thing I've been told my whole life. Austin, I don't even have a chip on my shoulder. I've got a full bag. All right. There's no just one chip, right? Here's the problem though. If you allow that to work against you, it will forever keep you down.
Yes.
When you flip it around and you take ownership of it and you use it as fuel, that's when you can't be stopped.
You can't. He's a perfect example of you cannot be stopped. And I tell you what, there's been so many times where I have watched Tom Brady sitting on the bench, on the sidelines, right? And he's got his hands in his head in his hands, and he looks defeated, right? And I go, man, if Tom doesn't get out of this funk, he ain't pulling through. He ain't taking the game. And it's always around that fourth quarter where he gets the fucking eye of the tiger. And all of a sudden he throws that one pass, right? That one completion. And all of a sudden you look and it's like, oh, look out.
You're about to get mowed over.
You're about to get trampled.
And so I think you would have an interesting insight to this is that if you talk to high net worth individuals that maybe had a chip on their shoulder, maybe they're worth multi-million-dollar at this point, they will tell you there is a part of them, they might not admit it to everybody, that they wish they would lose it all because they're scared that when they get it all, they're not going to have that drive anymore.
There's the fear of success.
Yeah.
The fear of success because
complacency. Yeah.
It's complacency. It's maintaining it. It's how do I sustain this? And the thing is this, when I'm broke and I'm desperate and I need attention and I need all this stuff, right? And I'm chasing it. It's no different than chasing the drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm chasing it, right? And I don't have it yet and I have nothing to lose.
It's easy.
Man, that's fuel. That's fire, baby.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get it and you actually have something to lose, that's when the real fear comes in.
Amen.
And that's what you're talking about.
Tom Ballou had an interview the other day, and he said the money came so fast. Like, he literally had nothing. He's driving a beater. And then like 500 million came into his bank account in the morning. And his wife was like, well, what are we going to go do? Are we going to go to the Ferrari shop? And Tom looks at her and he goes, there's not a chance that I would not go to work today. And he goes, I realized that I got that money and nothing about me changed. And I'm sure you deal with this on a daily basis with coaching clients, you know, that are successful or trying to get there.
It's a mixed bag, bro. It's a mixed bag. You know, but I do deal with that whole idea of I finally got to the top of the mountain.
What now?
And I don't even know how I was supposed to feel. But this can't be it. I don't even know how to feel, but this can't be it.
Yeah.
And I go, it's because your whole life has been about what's next. Mm-hmm. And now that you've accomplished everything you ever wanted to, there's no what's next. And as a matter of fact, you've got so much, you're now in the maintenance mode instead of the going after it mode. And we need to get you back going after it.
Sure.
That's all. You just need to get back in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is there is no top of the mountain. There is no retirement. What happens to people most of the time when they retire?
They die.
They die. There is no top of the mountain unless you just want to fucking give up and die.
So it's funny, you talk to guys all the time, and this is the thing they talk about. You know, everybody in their mind, they picture, I'm going to sit on the beach and I'm going to have pina coladas. You know how long that lasts? About 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
About 2 days. And it's time to get back to work. So if your mission is not greater than the sum of a bank account, then what do you have to look forward to? Like the true definition of my why and your why, I believe, is to impact others and to leave it out on the field every day. It might be a kind of ominous quote, but it's something I live by. My only finish line will be a coffin.
Yes.
And it's just that, you know, you look at people, and we'll just stay on the sports train, like Bobby Bowden that coaches for like 50 years. And they said, why don't you just give it up and retire? And he's like, what am I going to do? Go to the farmer's market? I'm a coach. He's like, I'm a coach. It's what I do. That's what they live on, right? And so my wife, knowing me that I live by creating businesses, that's what I do. And that's when I truly feel alive. And if you're not feeding those things, right? And so we'll get back to your story. You're opening the sports book. You're doing hard drugs, right? But life's good. You're having fun. You're making money, right? So it's not the end of the world. And so what changed though?
Okay. So here's the thing, right? It's life is a gradual process. Okay. Everything about life is a gradual process, you know, and you learn as you go. But when you get in a situation where you start taking rocket fuel, okay, and you start pushing the envelope to hyper performance, there's no way to sustain that. And the first time I did cocaine, I literally felt like I transformed into a different human being, right? Like I felt like Superman. I felt 10 feet tall and bulletproof. I felt like the smartest man in the world, the best looking guy in the world. And I was this eloquent, you know, speaker, right? And you're so deluded when you're on coke. But seriously, the thing is that it does work for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you that the first year of me doing hard drugs, doing coke, right? I was able to launch a business. I was able to, manage a relationship. I was able to do everything. I was able to go to work and then have a relationship and go out all night in the casino and then get up the next day and go to work and do it all. And it was just like, I have this magic little powder that if I need to sleep or if I'm tired or whatever, I just take a little bit more of that and I can just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And it works for a while until it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then after about a year, it stops working and I'm just chasing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I start to turn into this monster, this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde person that is just wreaking havoc in everybody's lives. I'm completely unpredictable. I'm irrational. I have these bursts of anger that are just uncontrollable, fits of rage, and no one can tell me what to do. I'm pushing everything and everyone away from me. And I just get to this point where I'm actually running a business. I'm actually married. My wife is pregnant. Okay. I've got all these relationships. I'm bouncing all these balls in the air and I am a complete madman. Right. And what happens is in the gaming industry, and for those of you that do a little Googling, there's this unified gaming law that was passed back in, I think it was 2001, 2002. The unified gaming law was passed. And what that did was that it prevented Visa and MasterCard from processing credit cards, okay, for people that were using them in online gambling casinos offshore.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, Google changed their algorithm. So I had all of this marketing online that was being fueled by a link farm. I don't know. Some of you are going to understand the term link farm, where you just build hundreds of websites, you link them all together, and that helps you rank very high in Google search. So we were number one on every single casino and sports betting term across the board. So I had all of my buddies that saw what we had done. We rented this house and we had all these kids in there like Facebook.
Yeah.
All right. All wired in, creating websites and portals and content. And it was incredible. We were just from what we were charging in marketing fees, it was like $30,000 a month that we were collecting from our buddies who were like, dude, how do I get on your network? $5,000 a pop. It's a deal. They were paying it. Boom. $5,000 a month. No problem. And they were getting traffic, right? So we're getting traffic from that. We were the premier brand, obviously, on the marketing. So we're getting the lion's share of all the leads of new customers. They're getting enough that they're totally stoked. Their ROI is through the roof. We're killing it. Credit card processing. Boom, boom, boom. Overnight. It was like they both just boom, the unified gaming law went. Google changed its algorithms. We lost everything. I lost new leads. We lost the ability to collect transactions, and getting Western Union and MoneyGram was a nightmare.
Sure.
So I went from this basically Al Pacino type character that was, could not be touched. Don't tell me what to do. I made this business. Right. And all of a sudden it's dead. And I'm like, oh my God, the party's over. And so I lost everything, including my wife. At that point, my partners were like,
so basically you were an old country song.
I was an old country song. I lost my wife. I lost the business. I lost all my money. I lost the dog.
But you know what's funny? While we're having this podcast right now and what's going outside this world right now, March 24th with the virus, feels a little the same, where the world just kind of goes boom, right? And this
Beautiful.
Where you're going to go
Beautiful.
from, where you're going to go from here, this story is where you can choose, everybody that's listening, how you change the story. You can play the victim, and I'm not saying you did it overnight, but what I'm saying is look at your life where you were and where we're about to go on this story.
And what a beautiful example and a segue, because here's the thing. There's a coronavirus in everybody's life, and it happens more than once. I had the coronavirus hit me multiple times, but that one was the pandemic of all pandemics. Mm-hmm. So basically at the end of it all, I realized I had lost everything. And there was a night where I had just done so many drugs and drank so much alcohol, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. So I'd done so much coke, my heart's beating out of my chest. My wife's in the other bedroom. She's asleep. Okay, she's a few months pregnant. I don't even remember how many months pregnant she was at the time. But I'm about to have a heart attack. I feel like I'm going to die. And at that moment, I had lost the will to live. In that moment, I was popping Tylenol PMs and Valiums and trying to smoke weed and trying to get this thing to come down. I realized, oh my God, like I think I'm inducing some sort of speedball here. Like I might have a heart attack. I've consumed so many drugs. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I go, would death be so bad? Mm-hmm. I'm a waste of airspace. I've got a wife who's pregnant. I'm destroying her life. My business partners want nothing to do with me. The business is in the toilet. I'm a train wreck. And I got this baby on the way. I got no business being a father. And I just remember going, God, help me. Either I'm ready to go, right? Either take me out of this world or help me get clean, because I can't do this. I cannot continue to live like this anymore and harm the people in my life any longer. And I woke up the next morning. And the only thing I remember was that there was this therapist 10 months ago had told me, you need to go to 12-step meetings. That's the only thing that I've seen work with people like you. Mm-hmm. And I remember I saw his face and I could hear his voice, and I got up, I got dressed, I put on whatever clothes was on the floor. I got in my car and I just drove to his office. I didn't call. I didn't do anything. I didn't question the thought that came to my mind. I go, I got to get to this guy. I got to get to one of those meetings. And I get to the guy's office and he's like, oh man, I'm so glad you're back. And I go, I cannot stop using drugs. I need help. Can you please give me directions to those meetings? And he says, here's the directions. It starts in an hour. It starts in an hour. See, back then I didn't believe in God. Mm-hmm. But later on I realized that I had actually connected with Source. Mm-hmm. I said, either take me out of this world or help me get clean. Mm-hmm. And he listened. Sure. And the first thing that I got in the morning is get to a meeting, man. And I get to the guy's office. He gives me directions and I'm able to get to the meeting before it starts. Mm-hmm. And I sit down. I say, my name's Omar. I'm an addict. I need help. And these guys said, we got you. Mm-hmm. We got you. And so I started to listen to their stories and I go, oh my God, I'm not alone. There is other people on this planet that have actually gone through what I've gone through. And it's amazing. Like today, I forget that there was a time where I actually thought I was special and unique. Mm-hmm. Like I actually thought that I was the only one struggling with what I was going through. And it was so humbling and it was so healing to recognize that it wasn't just me. Mm-hmm. And then 5 months later, my daughter is born. And there is, I'm just going to speak for myself, but there's probably fathers out there that know what it's like when you are given no choice. And my wife at the time, she's sleeping because she had a cesarean, and I'm by myself with my daughter. And I'm like, I can't fuck this up, man. I have literally fucked up everything in my life. There is nothing that I can hang my hat on. Nothing. I have destroyed everything. I'm literally a 00 going in the other direction. And I can't mess this up, man. And I'll tell you, I started praying like I've never prayed before in my life. And I'm like, God, help me. God, help me here, because I can't let her down. I've let myself down. I let my wife down. I let my family down. And I prayed for death. I prayed for death like 6 months ago. And I can't imagine not being in her life. So you got to help me, because I cannot imagine her being 16 years old. And her friends asking her at school, what's your dad do for a living? And she has to say, my dad died of a drug overdose. That ain't going to be me. So in that moment, holding my daughter, I made a decision that I was either going to, this was my burning boats moment. So I always, in my podcast interviews, I always ask people, what was your burning boat moment? When did you decide you were going to burn the boats? You know, for those of you that don't know what the burning boats story is famous Tony Robbins, story that he tells about when, I think it was Napoleon, or I can't remember who it was. No, it wasn't. It was another conquistador, and he shows up on this island with his army, and he sets all the boats on fire, and his army's like, what are you doing? He goes, I'm burning the boats because we're either going to take this island or we're going to die trying. And I burned the boats. I said, I'm either going to get sober, get clean, become the husband, the father, the man that I'm supposed to be for this little girl, or I'm going to die trying. But the drugs and the alcohol, I'm done with that. So whatever I got to do, it's going to get done, right? And I knew there was a part of me that still lived inside of me. I knew there was a part of me that was still alive that felt that way, even though I had lost hope years before that moment. I had completely lost hope in myself and in my ability to fight. And I was just revitalized in that moment. I've spent the last 17 years of my life becoming this man for her. A man that she can be proud of. A man that she can hang out with. Like, she has no idea the train wreck that I was. No idea. Because when I committed to that, there was no going back. And so I dove into 12-step recovery. I got a sponsor. I started working the steps. I went to meetings every single day. I became a beast. Unstoppable. There was no stopping me. My sponsor told me to do something. I did it. If he would have told me to put on a dress, right, and go to the grocery store and tell everybody that I found Jesus, I would have done it. Okay? Whatever he would have told me, and I did it. And my life started to change radically and dramatically. And all of my relationships started to change radically and dramatically. So, for those first 10 years of my sobriety, right, it was all about finding me again, rediscovering who I was, what I stood for, what my purpose was. And I started serving. I started helping other guys. I started taking them through the steps. I became a sponsor, and I did that for 10 years. That's where my coaching came from. My coaching ability evolved just because I sponsored so many guys and I walked them through the steps. I got so good at it. And I got so good at reading people and seeing where they were at and understanding their pain and helping them come out of their shell. And I realized I had this gift for helping other people, And so I met my wife 10 years into my sobriety, and a year after that, I launched the podcast. And that's when man, that's when the rocket fuel really came, man. I started to meet some incredible people. And it was incredible because the more I got to know people, the more I got to interview people and have these great conversations like you and I are having, the more I was able to see them through their eyes, the more I was able to see me through my eyes, because I could connect, I could understand, I could relate. So many stories that were similar to mine, but different, and how they overcame, and recognizing that I was not alone, that other people struggled, that other people felt the imposter syndrome, that other people were desperate for validation, that other people were desperate to feel significant, and they would have done anything for it, including die for it. And so all of that has allowed me to transform and morph into a human being that has the level of empathy and compassion and love and understanding on such a high level that I'm compelled to do what I do. I'm compelled to do what I do because, man, really, I'm just fucking good at it. And there's nothing better than having a conversation with somebody and watching the light turn on. Mm-hmm. Sitting across from someone, feeding them back exactly what they told me, and watching the light go on. Mm-hmm. And you know it because we've been there.
Yeah. And you notice that the guy who says a lot just lets you go because you were rolling. And I learned that from people. I mean, guys, like, just so you know what I'm thinking about, I've got chills, first of all. Second of all, I'm literally going to launch this podcast tomorrow because it's going to change people's life. A week earlier than I was going to, because that shit was so good. The second thing is, I was thinking the whole time, you almost made me cry on your podcast, but I got you to cry on mine. So I think I win that battle there.
You win.
Yeah. But guys, what he's talking about, and I've been there, and I always think about the story on Catch Me If You Can, when he tells Leonardo DiCaprio, the dad tells Leonardo DiCaprio, there was 2 mouse in a bucket of, milk or whatever. And they wanted to get out so bad that they churned that milk into butter and climbed out. And what you're describing there, and it's hard to put into words, is a relentless, unstoppable, can't be touched pursuit to be the best version of yourself for your daughter, which can't be matched. Can't be matched.
It can't be matched.
And there is, I mean, you could easily look back on your life and go, it could have easily gone both ways. How many times has a man, woman, child, whatever, been presented that opportunity and continue to do drugs, continue to break? And this is the most important thing that you have to understand. Lots of coaching, guys. The most important relationship, the most important commitment that you break is not to your significant other. It's not to your parents. It's the commitments that you break with inside yourself that ruined your confidence, that keeps you from getting where you need to go. So he made a promise to himself that he was going to be the man that she needed to be, and he did everything possible to get there. And
that is, what a beautiful way to surmise that.
And that is something that is next level. That's superhuman. That's, and when you get in that flow state, that is the true power, right? And so, I'm looking at it, second interview into the podcast, and I'm thinking, it all makes sense now from that story, right? And I know that you feel better by telling it. I had never heard the whole version of it. So excited to, it's fantastic. There's really nothing more to say.
Well, and it's true what you say about this relentless pursuit of greatness, because she was the fuel, but you're right. Like, she taught me that it was okay to forgive myself, because really that was really what it all boiled down to. My hopelessness came with my inability to forgive myself, and I could no longer fight for me because I was so disappointed and disgusted with myself. But how can you be disappointed and disgusted with this beautiful little creature
who did nothing,
who's done nothing
besides be born,
except be born and be truly just this it's an undescribable feeling. And like what you said right there, right? Like, it could have gone either way in a lot of different ways. Like, at some point, my ex-wife could have woken up out of the cloud that she was in and gone, there's no way I'm marrying this guy. There's just no way. He's completely unstable, unreliable, drug addict. Why would I marry him? Maybe he'll change.
Yep.
And why would I even consider being pregnant unless I knew that he was stable and he could be dependent on, and he wasn't because maybe he'll change. So in her mind, and her hope was that somehow us getting married and us having a baby would inspire me to change. She was right. She was right, but it wasn't going to happen until she recognized that while she was pregnant, I wasn't stopping. And then she left me.
Yeah.
See, she walked out. And so 3 years into my sobriety, I went and made amends to her. And I said, because it's like what you just mentioned there, like, it could have gone either way, but this is where we both know it didn't. It couldn't have gone either way. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. I said, look, I don't know. I can't come here to tell you I'm sorry. I just know that I train wrecked our whole marriage and your life. I made your life a living hell. And so I'm not here to tell you I'm sorry. I'm here to ask you if there's any way that I can make amends for all the harm that I've caused in your life. And if you need me to tell you that it's okay to move on with your life, because she wasn't married or remarried or, gone back together, but she was like, she had said, I asked her, I said, if there's a way that I can make amends here, if you just need to move on with your life, if you need me to tell you that it's okay to get into a relationship or get married or have another kid, which you don't, but if you need me to say that, I'm here to make amends in any way that I can. And she said, yes, I did need you to say that. I wasn't going to move on because I was afraid that if I moved on with my life and got with somebody else, that you would leave your daughter. And it was more important for me that Marissa have a father in her life for me to move on with mine.
And in that moment, right, I'm thinking back to my father. In that moment, the reason my dad didn't tell me, whatever, we'll get into that on another podcast. I wasn't in a place mentally to handle it, so he held the burden, right? So think about how much respect you have for her now when you remove the woe is me BS and you realize that she sheltered that negativity, that can't move on with their life just for her daughter. I mean, how much respect? Hello. And so that's when you have to step outside yourself. The greatest quote Kyle C says, I love him. He says, everybody is worried about what they'll lose and they're not paying attention to what they might gain.
Yes. Correct. And her final words in that moment were, I would do it all over again. All of it. I would go through all of the pain that I went through to have her.
Yep.
And so she was destined to be born. She was there. And I know this. She is the gift not only to me, but to her. She is our first her first daughter, my first daughter.
But look at it from a macro level, and maybe you haven't even thought about this personally. What if your daughter is the gift to all the people in 18 years that you've helped get sober?
Oh, dude.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Woo! Think about how important that one person getting born, the ripple effect that caused. That'll sit you back in your seat.
Wow. God, this happened on our interview.
Yeah.
Oh, drop the mic. Oh, man. These ripple effects, never had I even, because it's always about me, man.
Of course.
You know what I mean? It's
Everybody
always
spends
about
their
me.
life. Guys, I'm going to let you in on a little secret today. You don't need to know my whole life, but I got laid off today 30 minutes before this call. And this conversation, because I choose to continue forward because I made a commitment, has given this man a thought that he's never thought in his entire life. That his daughter has helped, what would you say, hundreds and hundreds of people.
Thousands. My podcast, I'm about to hit, I'm just 50,000 short of 2 million downloads on my podcast.
So really, she's almost like, the jewel they're trying to find in Indiana Jones. I mean, that's how important she is, She's the treasure.
Wow.
And
yeah.
And what a treat when she's ready, not right now, obviously, but when she's to an age that she's ready, that we have documented this podcast as a gift to her. I feel humbled and honored.
Oof. That's a lot.
I think we should wrap it up there.
We got to wrap this up, dude.
We'll save it up for another time.
Oh, man.
Now, we'll give you just a couple minutes and then we'll bounce out. How can somebody find you? The coaching, the podcast, just kind of give them that quick story real quick.
The easiest way to get a hold of me is go to omarpinto.com. Mm-hmm. 2 websites, omarpinto.com, that has all my coaching information and how you can connect with me. And also the SHAIR podcast. SHAIR is spelled SHAIR. It stands for Sharing Helps Alcoholics in Recovery. So it's theshairpodcast.com. And there is my membership community, my recovery community, my podcast, and also how to get a hold of me. Those are the 2 best ways to find me and all my content.
Well, fantastic. Well, guys, I appreciate you listening. If you enjoyed this episode, share it, rate us. I think what we did today is we laid the stake in the flag for me that this is what I should be doing. And there's so much joy inside of me right now. It's hard to explain. But I just thank y'all so much, and everybody have a great day. Thank you, Omar.
Love you, brother.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.